Okay. So, where do I begin? Back in 2017, somewhere in early November, late October. So, that was a while ago. Alright, so back in 2017, I was just kind of checking out some Warhammer groups, like I kind of do at times. Checking it out on Facebook, scrolling through on my phone, and then, a post that kept coming up to the top of the forum, So I was looking at it, and I go, oh no, what's this? People are talking about some letter that was sent to Games Workshop, angrily complaining about there not being more female models in the Warhammer model line. Alright. So, okay. Alright, let's get into this. So, I've been talking about this for years. I think years ago, I remember I was part of a Warhammer group. I was helping manage it, right? I was even talking to the other people, and I was saying, hey, this is the thing. This is going to start happening. This will eventually come into this space. It'll come into Warhammer. No, Max, you're crazy. This will never come into Warhammer. Yeah. Well, anyway, so eventually, social justice and, I'm guessing, feminism. Well, I'm not guessing. We'll get into that. Feminism and social justice has reached Warhammer 40,000, which is a remarkable thing to mix together. So I wrote up a script. I had a whole thing in mind. I was going to make a Mr. Space Marine video. Mr. Space Marine was going to be talking about feminism or progressivism or political correctness in Warhammer 40k. But a bunch of stuff has happened since then to now. A bunch of stuff has happened in the media, let's just say, stuff that's happened in life. And I actually thought I lost the script, because I recently had my bag stolen. So, yeah, that sucked. So, I have the script, ended up finding it. But I really, you know what, I'm tired, and I don't know, maybe I'll make the Mr. Space Marine version. Maybe I'll make it. But for now, I'm tossing away the script. And I just kind of want to talk about the conversation that I had. So I did a little bit of digging. I didn't know that there was a specific person or group or something that was doing all this. I didn't know any of that. I just thought it was just feminism, just in general, just like feminists. Just somebody was a feminist and they liked 40k, and those things were clashing in their ideologies, and because they thought this, and 40k's universe is kind of, not the nicest place, so, we want to fix that. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's how it happened. So, okay. So that's when I find out that there's this person or group or there's something. I'm still not really certain on it. I really don't really know. Called Feminist 40k. Okay. So I was told, hey, you should, if you're going to be doing a video on this, if you're going to be making a script and you're going to be talking to people about it, you should talk to Feminist 40k. And I go, oh, this is like a person, like a thing? Yeah, go and, here they are, here's their group or whatever. Message them and get some, ask them what they think, and, to try to find out what's going on with this whole buzz about Feminist 40k and Warhammer. Okay, so I message I messaged this page. It's like a Facebook page or something. I don't know. I don't know if this is like run by one person or multiple people. I don't know. I didn't do a lot of digging into that because I did enough digging. I dug myself deep enough. So, oh, okay. All right, I'm gonna be okay. So, it starts off, innocent enough. It's gonna go off my memory here. It's hi, I'm making a video about feminism and in 40K and what's going on about it and like the buzz kind of thing. And I was told to talk to you, and I was wanting to kind of pick your brain a bit and see what you thought. I wanted to see what your thoughts were on I had some questions. And then I got the first reply. Okay. So the first reply was, well, what is this? Some kind of hit piece? What are you trying to do? Trying to make some kind of hit piece? That set the tone for the rest of the conversation. Because it was like, hi, what do you want? Whoa. Like, that was, it was, so anyway, so I it's not a hit piece. I just wanted to get sides of both sides. I wanted to get the viewpoints from feminist and anti-feminist alike to make a video bringing the strong points from both sides. Well, what do you mean there are no strong points from the non-feminist side? They're all bullshit. Okay, well, let's just ignore them. Let's talk about what you think. So, okay. This is rough. I'm just reliving this. Okay, so, I don't know, maybe I should look up. Here, I'll actually get the conversation up. Okay. I'll have to go to the beginning, because I don't think that it would be fair to go from the end of the conversation. And there was quite a bit of conversation. Okay. Here we are. So maybe we'll start over. Alright, so the conversation begins. Hi, I'm working on a script for a YouTube video discussing feminism in 40K, and several people suggested I talk to you and ask you some questions to get the feminism perspective on Warhammer 40,000. I'm wanting to include the best arguments of both sides. Can I pick your brain a little? Alright. That depends. Are you making a hit job video? Because it wouldn't be the first time. So I hope you understand that we have to ask. Science. Which I'm just going to assume is the handle that this particular user of the account or person had been using at the time. Well, it's a perfectly reasonable question, considering the videos that get made on the subject nowadays. The videos intended to showcase what are the issues brought up, which are attributed to feminism in 40K, like the model line representing the lore, female heads in guard boxes, the stagnant nature of the Sisters of Battle, the concept of female space marines. It's meant to explore these ideas, why they're brought up, what can or can't be done, possibly some humor. And then I explain about the character, Mr. Space Marine. Say I'm not making a hit piece. I want to have the strongest arguments, even not the weakest arguments, because we don't want straw men. We want the best arguments from both sides, the best representation. Well, let's see. Apparently went to the bottom of the conversation. All right. So, I say, how we can even make it. It could be an entertaining video. Well, we can't help you with the entertainment part of this video or something. I don't know. So I asked them some questions. And, alright. So I mentioned Sargon, Carl Benjamin, and I go, like, hey, I was told to talk to these guys too. I never got a hold of them. I know they're busy guys. They don't have time to talk to me. I'm small fry. They don't have time. He's making videos. So that's when it's like, well, if you were told to talk to them, I mean, both of them have made videos dedicated to defamation, to spread our private profile information, all while pretending not to condone harassment and doxing. Very convincing, ha fucking ha. I'm just gathering perspectives. So, I'm not sure if I can really show the pictures in the video, because I'm not quite sure of the legality of having screenshots of, like, the conversation and throwing it in there, right? So, I mean, I'll just kind of tell the story and just kind of go over things. I might paraphrase slightly, so that way I'm not actually saying what's really being truly said. No, that won't be good, because then I may be misrepresenting things. Then it would sound like I'm lying. Let's not do that then. Consider this. If you put two people with dissenting opinions on the same platform, you are validating them both, even if one of them is a bullying, misogynistic, hostile, and ruthless in defaming the other. And defaming the other. And at that point, it's no longer a difference of perspectives. It's straight up bullying. And I say, perhaps I've made a shortcoming of explaining what I mean, and they say, you explained that you want to place multiple perspectives in the same video, and I can respect that. However, we are not about to engage with people vitriolic enough to continually harass us with death and rape threats. And I say, I'm gathering views on all sides of the spectrum on the subject. Many will be radically different. That's important, to be able to get the bigger picture. I'm not presenting it here are the two sides for or against and how they are equal points. To be honest, I don't really know what to say about them or why I'd be adding them at all. I know Sargon is anti-feminist, and I don't know much about Arch, to be honest. At the time I didn't. I had only just heard about Arch when all this kind of started spiraling up. And I've only heard of him recently, when they were chatting and made Feminids posts. Those were hilarious. I actually thought those were really funny. The Feminids. Like, like the big red hair on like gaunts and stuff. It was great. I mean, I laughed, but found it obnoxious. I mean, let's be fair. Let's be fair. I liked it, but it... if you get me. I'm not trying to be like, you're not allowed to do that. I'm trying to say, you get me. It's like, well, you're not wrong. It's one of those like, but you're not wrong, but you are being an asshole, but you're allowed to be an asshole. It's okay to be an asshole. I don't know what a strong counter-feminist argument is. So, I like the context of that. The subtext of that, I meant to say. I like the subtext of, I don't know what a strong counter-feminist argument is. So far, it's devolved into, fuck off from our hobby. You're not allowed to enjoy what I enjoy. I'm not sure if that's, I guess, it's a straw man. I'm not sure if it's a straw man and projection. We'll have to kind of find out later. Perhaps after I make the video, you'd find out. Shrug. I'm trying to remain non-partisan. The topics I'm mostly interested in for this video is inclusivity of female representation in the lore and on the tabletop. That was the topic that I was asking a lot of questions about because it was the hot topic. So let's say female guard, sisters of battle, and the dreaded topic of female space marines, which people hate to discuss. Max, now they're referring to me by first name. We're on a first name basis. They've gotten very comfortable with me now. I'll try to keep the power dynamics talk to a minimum. Essentially, if you remain nonpartisan, you take the side of one in power. For example, one's making defamatory videos and sending unsolicited dick pics. Sargon, you dog. I just hope you know the consequence of perpetuating the dynamic. Like, they really don't want to talk to me. It's clear that they really don't want to talk to me. At least that's how it seems at this point in this conversation. I'm really dedicated though. Like I want to talk to them. And I say, the character the character in the video, Mr. Space Marine, right? He's an exaggerated caricature of the 40K hobbyist. And I'll send you a link to my first episode so you can get an idea of what I'm making. And then then they say, if by exaggerated caricature of a creepy neckbeard, it's not exactly an exaggeration given the shit we've received as individuals and collectively. So the exaggeration isn't an exaggeration because everybody is it. I go, lol, but, well, you're not wrong, there's a lot of them out there, sure. It's funny at first, and then you realize they're not joking. And I even mentioned that I've defended... Now, bear in mind, not a fan of the show, but I don't mind fan art. I've defended 40K My Little Pony. I know. It's okay. I know. This has become like a confessional now. I understand. So, I've defended it because it's art, it's 40K, I don't care. I don't care if it's fucking Rambo to, Rainbow Bright. I don't care. If it's 40K crossover, it's 40K. So, what do I want to say? Chill your tits. Calm your tits. Something about tits. The fact that you need to defend said art is already astounding. Now we're kind of making a little bit of headway here, because I agree. You shouldn't have to defend art. At this rate, you might as well make a video that loops variations of let people enjoy things over and over. It'll have about the same effect. And then, maybe that will be the case. I'll have to find out after I gain more views. I want to give everyone a chance here. Because to this day, I'm seeing seething rage over people's OCs in the fandom, original characters in the fandom. I think. Original characters in a hobby about making original characters. The horror. And so, sometimes people just have to stand up for what they believe in and protect what they see as theirs, and I may disagree with their choices, but I can understand them and possibly even appreciate the tenacity. It's a fictional character in a fictional universe. It's not standing up for what you believe in. It's gatekeeping and tribalism at worst. You're not a real fan if you don't fit my arbitrary standards of knowledge and preferences. They were saying that as if they were projecting that onto somebody. Anyway, I'd like to get some strong cases for female guardsman models to reflect the lore. What Sisters of Battle mean to a feminist perspective and what's wanted for or from them. And to go over the female Space Marine issue and why there should be female Space Marines. And then if I make more videos on feminism in 40K, maybe I'll make the Mr. Space Marine one. I may explore other topics. Well, I can help with that. Not really that hard, to be honest. Well, like I said, I disagree with their choice, but I can understand it. Where do you want to start? Let's go in that order, because that's how I have the script formatted in this rough draft. Guard, Sisters of Battle, female Space Marines. Okay, Guard. There is literally no reason not to have female Guard models. All it takes is a change in the heads. It's not hard. Similar companies can do it. You'll be surprised how many broflakes act like it'll destroy the entirety of GW. In-universe, Cadia, the poster faction for the Astra Militarum, supposedly had a 100% recruitment rate. Unless men reproduce asexually, nothing can justify the lack of Guard models. Also, in the interest of saving effort, would you accept a list of standard responses we have to the oft-repeated arguments we have time and time again? So, at this point now, I'm getting shifted off to not even getting real candid answers. Now I'm getting scripted answers that they have in an FAQ. So, I'm gonna go, sure, thumbs up for time saving, I guess. But I kind of was disappointed with that, because it was like, well, can't I get, a real answer? So, alright. Number 1. Why don't you play other factions instead? This is just a lazy way to dismiss our concerns and ties to why you don't get third-party models or why don't you play another hobby. It's basically go away and don't make me recognize any issues that don't involve me. We love the hobby and want to expand its range so we can continue loving it. You don't jump ship to another country just because yours has flaws. You work to fix them because you want it to be better. Number 2. There are already women in the official art and lore. Please let me know how this translates into the tabletop. Number 3. What's stopping you from making your own? People who don't understand empowerment and representation often feel they have the right to dictate what others should be happy with. We'd like to be treated like valued customers by GW for once. There's more, but let's move on for now. Yikes. Wow. That last part where they're saying we want to feel valued. Now, of course, I'm giving it this kind of tone, but I'm reading it word for word. I may follow up with some questions after. So what would you like to see done with Sisters of Battle, and how do you feel about them now? aesthetic, lore, models, rules, sky's the limit. Got it. Sisters of Battle are all currently based on the initial design of John Blanche, who for all his skill knows how to draw exactly one type of woman. The armor design is sexualized and focused on making the woman in it look sexy for thirsty nerds. High heels and boobs on armor are stupid, and anyone who tries to justify it with Sisters of Battle armor is supposed to look feminine doesn't have the slightest clue how armor works. I haven't seen a single defense of boob armor and repentia in stripper outfits that doesn't drip with, "I want porn on my tabletop." It makes women and girls feel uncomfortable to be around such people. And given the many cases of sexual harassment in FLGS, it's not something you can dismiss out of hand. For GW to condone this is unacceptable, and they should know better. What would you want to see for sisters? What would be the ideal Sisters of Battle? Then after, I'd say let's move on to the subject of female space marines. Why should they be included, and possibly how? Then if we have time, follow-up questions, but we can reconvene for those if we're running out of time. I'm at work, so my replies may take a while. That wasn't really a necessary part to add in, but it just kind of was the next part up, and I just kind of wanted to say it. That's fine. We can reschedule if we need to, and it's up late, and anyway, some slow responses are fine. May give me some time to come up with some good follow-ups as well. I'm enjoying the interview. The ideal Sister of Battle has been shared on the page before. Non-sexualized, practical armor, function over form, properly dressed repentia, Empire flagellants from Warhammer Fantasy Battle are a good example of non-sexualized but also non-armored religious lunatics. And as usual, more updates to show GW actually cares about the faction. Well, I'll show you the plastic Sisters of Battle that I scratched together at a Games Workshop Parts. If there isn't much else on the subject of Sisters of Battle. What was that? Yeah, I think my apartment's haunted. So if this all of a sudden turns into a haunting video, we're doubling up. Ghosts. Okay, my arm is, I've got goosebumps. Ghosts. Holy shit. Alright, if more stuff happens, the cat's freaked out. Okay. Back to the video. Alright. I suppose, okay, wait. I need to figure out where I am on this. Where was I? Alright. This is a touchy subject because a lot of people feel the lore is being attacked with change. My response is very similar all the time. And they show a picture, like a meme, saying, "Hi, my name is Lehman Russ. Tell me your lore reasons again." And it's a picture of Lehman Russ, I'm guessing back from, I don't know, Rogue Trader, or if he was from before Rogue Trader in was it Space Quest? Yeah, and he looks a lot different than the way that he normally looks recently. Lore changes all the time, from Nukrons to Primaris Marines to the Squats. Creative business decisions are not often divorced, and we see GW agreeing with us, with increased representation, if a bit slow in their action. Besides, 40K is a satire on fascism, theocracy, the horrors of industrialized warfare, and the folly of hubris. It's hard to imagine how adding women into the mix would destroy any of this. I ask some follow-up questions. As Cadia was the main stock of guardsmen, how will the destruction of their planet affect their recruitment? Do other Imperial Guard worlds have the same recruitment percentage? With the current Imperial Guard poster boys now gone, will the next one carry on that same recruitment percentage? Which is more important if you had to choose, representation in the lore or representation on the table? How would empowerment and representation apply to non-human factions like the Tyranids and the Necrons? Would you agree or disagree that the Sisters of Battle represent dominatrixes, as their armor represents a corset and their boots are like stilettos? Do you agree or disagree that a dominatrix is a powerful female role in a sexual fantasy? Just to put that out there, yes, it's a sexual fantasy. Warhammer 40,000 is also a fantasy, so... Do you agree or disagree that there are women who enjoy the style the Sisters of Battle are depicted? Do the Repentia Squad resemble S&M bondage? You mentioned the squats. Would you want female representation within the squats? If so, what would that be like? That was kind of a joke. I didn't really mean to ask that. I didn't think that would actually be answered, but to confirm, to make sure, I understand the point for why there should be female Space Marines, because the lore can change. What would your thoughts and impression be on the lore if it were to change in other ways? What would your thoughts on the Ecclesiarchy overturning their restrictions in lore? And if GW were to retcon that restriction away, the no men at arms? Okay. So here's the response. Cadia being destroyed kind of makes Cadians a dying breed. What with the violet eyes and all, but Cadia was a symbol above all else. There are always other planets and other tithes, and the culture of training can be carried over, a la Ghosts of Tanith. Cadia stands. The more famous worlds certainly have an incredibly high recruitment rate, like Krieg and Armageddon, but I haven't seen the numbers yet. Based on the books, Armageddon does have a civilian population, but Krieg seems to have it at 100%. GW will find a way. The cookie-cutter guard models have to be made somehow in-universe. The last of the Cadians made it to Earth, so there may not be a next one, so much as there will be all of them in the face of Noctis Eterna. The fuck? I want to choose one over the other, or I won't choose one over the other. It would be unfair to the players who prioritize one over the other for any reason. Prefer playing versus can't afford an army, and honestly, GW can do both. It's not a win-lose situation. Tyranids are insects. No one identifies as an insect, as far as I know. However, Nids are brought up time and again in the same lazy way to dismiss representation concerns, because it's easier to tell people to bugger off, instead of really thinking of their issues. Same with orcs, asexual but clearly male-coded figures. Necrons suffer the same lack in representation. One female Necron lord has been identified in passing, in a single sentence, that's so obscure, I forgot where it was, and that's about it. I'm turning into a Vegeta voice at this point. However, I would say the Krons provide a greater opportunity due to actually being characters now. Bear in mind, there are no right or wrong answers here, just your opinions and perspectives. Your views are important. I'm going to continue with that in the Vegeta voice. That was fun. I'm certain the Sisters of Battle were coded after male fantasies of doms, form-fitting armor, the stilettos you mentioned, self-flagellation, and the throwing away of self in the service of higher powers. The Ecclesiarchy is predominantly male, which makes this whole power dynamic problematic. it makes it problematic. I kind of stuttered on that one. I cringed. I cringed there. From the very start. Whether this is powerful or not, it is inherently sexual and demeaning for soldiers to be referred to that way. Some may disagree, but consider this. Who talks like this? But consider this. No one refers to male soldiers as gigolos. Okay. Okay. Some women have no problem with misogyny, representation, and treatment within the hobby. However, they have no right to put down other women who have experienced such, and to do that is a disgraceful attempt to gain validation for being special. Think anti-marriage equality, LGBTs, and their lot. It screams of privilege and internalized misogyny. The repentia are horribly pictured and could have been done way better. Think Empire flagellants from Warhammer Fantasy Battle. They are currently stripper models, with emphasis on sexual appeal, not bondage in any way or form, and are coded towards the male gaze. It's honestly demeaning. I don't play squats, but I would suspect it looks a lot like everything else we support. Equal representation. No sexualized models, similar armor, weapons, and so on. It's not complicated. The whole argument for female space marines is much more nuanced than because the lore can change. If you compress an argument into sound bites and buzzwords, which I'm not, now I'm reading it word for word, it loses its meaning and becomes another point to be attacked. Don't do that. There are already people doing that. I may have to put up screenshots of this, so that way I have so there's a transcript. I don't want people to think that I'm paraphrasing. Like, I'm slightly paraphrasing what I'm saying when it's pointless, or when we're just kind of going, hey, hold on a second, I need to get a drink of water, or something like that. Like, I'm removing those parts. Okay, let's continue. Female Astarte should be a thing already, because it's about damn time GW stopped justifying old rules with outdated texts. Kind of like how one line in Leviticus is used against marriage equality, but not against seafood consumption, or the wearing of mixed fabric, the line that insists only men become Astartes, excuse me, I am making a video about Astartes, I should say that correctly from now on, is a blatant and lazy post hoc justification to back up the lack of playable female models in the era. Also because I know someone is going to bring it up. Women can play male models. However, we would like a choice in the matter. The same way men have had choice representation for decades. And having more better representation in the hobby would make women feel welcome in a hobby that's pandered to men and boys for ages. Many of us have played since the hobby's inception, and since it's changed throughout its lifetime, and female space marines are a tiny change, if you really know what's happened in the colorful past. Dom and sub is not exclusively female to male. However, there is nothing empowering about tit ninjas. I really like that term, tit ninjas. To paraphrase another YouTuber, leave the sexy puppets to other hobbies and make your damn soldiers soldiers. Granted, these make no practical sense, but then again, neither do the space wolves needing so many pelts, or the Luna wolves having helmet ponytails, Really, there isn't a point to any stylized or decorative armor either, making most veterans or heroes nonsensical. There are already male members of the Adepta. We know this because men invariably scream, "I want male sisters of battle too." When marginalized people want things that were historically denied to them, if you scroll down our page a little, you'll find a metaphor for it in terms of ice cream, which I may suggest you use. Regarding your point about armor, do Space Marines go into battle in overly stylized armor or G-strings and thong underwear? Well, kinda. I mean, like, if you really want to focus on that cod piece of the Space Marine, the space junk, they kind of do have a little bit of, like, they got a space package. It's not shaped like a dick, but then again, if you're wearing some briefs or some boxer briefs, your junk's gonna kind of look like that. It's gonna look like a cod piece. It's gonna look just like a bulge in your shorts. So they got the power cod, the power piece, power penis. You know, the cod piece is kind of overcompensation. You know, I mean, like, whose junk is really that big that they need that much protection over their dick? You're joking, right? Please point me to an official GW art cod piece designed to accentuate the penis for the gratification of female fans, rather than a male power fantasy. I say, you know, having a Space Marine costume, personally, I have experienced it. Wearing the damn thing. The cod section is very large. Very large. My one's not exactly the right shape. It kind of goes flat. It curves out flat. And normally it's kind of got like a kind of cod piece, kind of teardrop shape. I missed the part where it's accentuating the penis. It's a cod piece. It's a dick guard. I've had models and seen official art before. GW artwork favors loincloths or pelts to cover said dick guard. I hope you're not just projecting here. No, I've always thought it was a bit odd, but we can agree to disagree. So this is where the interviews kind of become more of a conversation. Also, are you seriously comparing an oversized diaper, because you can't tell me the dick is engraved on the front, to stripper costumes, conical boob pointers, high heels, and leather body gloves? No, and I didn't mean to. I never meant to at any point in that. I was just saying that it's a cod piece, and a cod piece, it's a dick guard. It's there, and if you know there's a cod piece there, it's meant to protect the dick. It's there. It's not shaped like a boob. It doesn't have a nipple on it. It's not got like vag lips. It's not anatomically correct. No, I never said any of that. Precisely. Moving on. But either way, I'm sorry, this is me talking. But either way, I've done the interview mistake of giving my own opinions. I apologize. So now the conversation kind of goes back and forth where we're talking about we're not really talking about Warhammer anymore. Now we're talking about all sorts of different things. First it's talking he or she, I don't know, they, Z. Z is talking about their friend makes BDSM gear, and you know, and they're talking about the chastity belt and all the stuff, and we're talking about Repentia. You know, the overcompensation to the most overly sexualized of Space Marines. The closest you can come to is of the Dark Angels, you know, with the nipples. And then we start talking about, like, the George Clooney Batman suit. You know, I kind of regret not asking. I wish I had, because I brought up the George Clooney Batman suit, I should have asked if they thought that the Batgirl suit should have also had bat nipples. Because if Batman and Robin's suits both had nipples, but her suit didn't. She was denied bat nipples. So I asked, should there be different spaces for men and women, as for different spaces for men and women, there are already a thing. Because of all the gatekeeping, sexual harassment, and overbearing. Oh, look, it's a gamer girl. On good days, buying models ends with, so these are for your boyfriend or husband, and not enough managers kick out men who creepily joke about raping women, molesting them, getting uncomfortably close, or making sexual advances in FLGS. In FLGS, I'm not sure what that is. Friendly local game store. Ah, okay, I apparently asked that in the conversation already. Alright. Until men take the responsibility of making gaming spaces healthy and non-toxic to women and minorities, co-ed spaces are a pipe dream. Men who enters women's safe spaces, if they're willing to understand why it's necessary in the first place, and work to curb toxic behavior in the community, are always welcome. Source, most of our community. We have a respectable number of fathers, sons, husbands, and men in general who understand that inclusivity is the way forward for both the hobby and its community. They are often drowned out by the loudest and biggest examples of people we work against. And then I ask, what about Carl Benjamin? Because, you mentioned them earlier, right? That so many people defend him is proof of the toxic tribalism and hatred that binds him and his alt-right fanboys together. And I say, that's interesting. As far as I know, Sargon is not far-right or alt-right. As far as I know, alt-right, I'm pretty sure. The last time I checked, I thought that he said he was a liberal. Maybe he's libertarian now? I don't know. The day we normalize that is the day we announce that women aren't human beings. So yeah, don't defend it. Ever. And then I kind of start talking, like Carl's an intelligent speaker, sometimes intelligent people can find horrible ways to justify what they say, or something like that. Sometimes people can say horrible things, and if they're intelligent, they can find ways to justify it. I'm not insinuating anything about Sargon. I'm just saying that intelligent people are generally more dangerous in the conversations. Often they're the most dangerous or influential people because they're clever with their wording or phrasing, and they can find ways to make what they say sound acceptable, or find ways around what's acceptable to make it acceptable. And so they say, we're aware that people are spreading false rumors about us, since we have a limited platform, and we appreciate you taking your time to get the point directly from us. Go back to the beginning of the video, right? Instead of taking others' words for granted. I, admin science, apologize if I seemed aggressive at times, but given the nature of our opposition, it's a job requirement. Thank you. And, yeah, so, okay. Alright, so I need to kind of debrief now after going over most of that. Some of it I skipped, because some of it was just useless, because that interview took place over a day or 2 or 3. Excuse me. Because I think a couple times in the conversation I go to sleep and they go to sleep, so it's like, oh, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll continue later. Okay, so I tried to give a few opinions and I got beaten over the head, and I tried to say, try to make an even playing field and got beaten over the head. I tried to bring in, good figures from both sides and got beaten over the head. That's really the gist of it. That's kind of my experience that's my feminist 40K experience. I don't have any ill will towards them, really. I have no problem with their argument. I mean, really, they were generally fine during the interview. I mean, it was just a bit abrasive and, like I said, kind of like it was, like I was being lectured to, rather than I was trying to get their perspective. I felt like it was a lecture. So it was very preachy, I felt, and, they had some points, sure. They had lots of good points. Like, some of them are even in the script here. I took some of their really good points, and I brought counterpoints against them that I had found I kind of did drudge up, because I wasn't actually able to get hold of Sargon. I mean, like I said, once again, he's a very busy guy. He read the message, I'm guessing, but he didn't respond. No time. That's fine. So I'm making this now based off of answers that I got off of, collective responses from Warhammer groups of, people who were kind of upset with the feminist perspectives or the feminist arguments or this whole debacle, this whole thing. So, that's, kind of what I have to say. That it was awkward and uncomfortable. It was difficult to have another opinion actually be respected, which, I don't know, I thought that was interesting, because, at one point, again, I gave my own perspective, my own opinions. So, did that kind of breach the interviewer code? Let's just say, yeah, it did. But, eventually it just kind of became conversational at this point. I'd asked all the questions I'd wanted to, so it just kind of went both ways. So, really, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Sure, female models for Imperial Guard, yeah, sure, throw some heads in there. Sure, why not? The armor will probably look the same. Throw some heads in there, who cares? Female Sisters of Battle, I made some out of some Dark Elves. They're not bad. Get some bolters and some Dark Elves and some backpacks and stuff. They're not exactly correct, but they're very similar. I'm sure they could easily make a plastic kit that could work together, or at least they could make an easy build plastic kit, probably. One that just kind of clicks together, like the new paint sets and stuff. They could easily make that. As for more models for the Sisters of Battle, there has to be a lot of interest. There is a lot of interest. There has to be a lot of interest, and then pump something new into it, make it overpowered or something, and and then people will flock to it, and there'll be a bunch of people buying Sisters of Battle, right? Sure. Why not? We can dream. And then, there's the Space Marines. So, it's... See, maybe I had it convoluted, because my understanding was, so you're saying that the lore can change, so they can change the lore, and they should change it because it's about time. And then, because you brought up a Bible verse, and it's like, there are people who still go by the Old Testament, and they use this. So this is like the Old Testament of Warhammer. It's the old lore that they've just not changed. They've been too lazy to change. They've neglected to change. They're just too sexist, misogynistic, patriarchal to change. Maybe it just doesn't have to change. That's just how that is. I know that might be a bit of a sad, blunt answer, but if that's the way that is in that universe, so what? I mean, the Sailor Scouts are all women. Even the ones that are men that turn into Sailor Scouts turn into women to be Sailor Scouts. And I'm sure we've all seen some creepy men dress up like Sailor Scouts. So that's it for the video. I'm going to end it there. And, yeah. So I've got the script for Mr. Space Marine talks about feminism in 40K. I could still make that. I could still be done. Tell me in the comments below if you want to see the Mr. Space Marine version of the subject. It's going to be a lot shorter than this. And, yeah, I can bring Mr. Space Marine back. I can probably call him back from the mission he's on. And also, before we wrap up, I'm working on a fan film music video. I'm not quite sure what to call it. Fan film music video, let's just call it that for now. Called Bloodhounds. Or at least that's the working title for now, Bloodhounds. And it's going to have myself, and if I can get anybody else to be playing the Space Marines. And then there's going to be hopefully some nice scenery, some decent action, and some nice songs. I've got some test footage of kind of what I'm going for, using some older footage from before, just to kind of fill it up in the other videos. Proud Astarte, the other one's called Bloodhounds, I think. So yeah, I'll be working on that for the next little while, and I hope that I make something cool. I pretty much just hope it doesn't suck. That's like my main goal in mind is that I hope it doesn't suck. And I'm happy to get your suggestions below. If there's any movies I should watch, or clips or scenes from movies, toy weapons and stuff, what you want to see in the video, throw it in there. There's probably not going to be a lot more other than like the Space Marines, if there's multiple, and some people with some guns and some swords and stuff. Some people with some bad dudes. There's going to be some bad dudes. And the Bloodhound's got to take them down. So I look forward to seeing that in the future. I hope you look forward to checking it out. And give me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. I don't make a lot of videos. I don't make them very often. When I do, I usually kind of make them in chunks, and then I kind of have breaks for a while. I'll try to be a bit more active. But if you want to make sure that you're getting my videos when they come out, hit the bell icon, leave me a comment, share, you know, the standard stuff. Alright, I'm Max. This is Slate the Space Marine, and yeah, happy 2018.